Well, it was a big thing then, like, you know, Bolton Wanderers, because they were a big side.
We come from all over. People come from Wigan, West, all over to watch Bolton. We're a famous team. We're one of the original members of the Football League.
Well, they won the 23 Cup final, 26 Cup final, 29 Cup final. And the first one called the White Horse final. Because there were that many on the crowd, they were overspilling, and the White Horse come onto the pitch with policemen and shifted them off.
My first memory of Burnden Park was it was packed out. You know, there were gates of like 50, 60,000.
It's always been a footballing town, like Blackburn and Burnley. All Lancaster towns, it's the main thing of the towns, isn't it? The football club is the main artery of the town.
Oh, we used to get the bus to the Trinity Street, facing the old railway station, and then we used to walk it down Manchester Road to the ground.
About an hour before the game, you just get thousands of people, 20 across, walking down Manchester Road to the game.
Going with my uncle, we used to park on the industrial estate, cross over the railway bridge and then get onto Manchester Road, and then we'd walk down to Burnden that way.
So that picture was taken behind the Burnden terrace. So we look like we're eating something. We're not. We're each rummaging through our booklets to find the right ticket. But that picture was taken at the last game.
They were fanatical Bolton Wanderers, singing all the songs, you know, about going down to Burnden Park to see the Burnden Aces and going down Manchester Road.
All my lads should have seen the Burnden. Asked them why they replayed the Bolton boys are coming. All my lads and lasses, smiles upon the faces, walking down the Marney Road to see the Burnden Aces.
I can remember giving the turnstile man, which they were turnstile men in those days, 5p to jump over before the crowds came, so I could get near the visitors' dressing room inside the ground, you know, to collect autographs.
Yeah, I've got hundreds of autographs, literally. Like you can see in that cupboard what's behind the door there, that's full as well. Everyone used to do it at one time. There used to be loads of people inside Burnden Park getting autographs, but I don't do it now.
When I was just a little boy, my father said to me, I'll take you to the football, so what club will it be? Man City, Man United, Everton, Liverpool. I turned around to him and said, shut up you fool, because I'm a wanderer.
You wouldn't get people from Bolton going supporting in Manchester or anywhere else, Wigan, but they'd support Bolton Wanderers. You had tremendous gates, and the town, they lived for the football at the weekend. That was the only place. You got your football, and then you got your dance halls, and of course the schools had dances, like St Thomas's, where I first went. They used to have bands up there and dance on Saturdays as well.
Well, it were a working man sport, wasn't it, basically. Back in 20s, 30s, 40s, you used to have crowds of 40, 50, 60,000 in lower leagues. You know what I mean? Because everyone used to go match, because you got work all week, weekends. Obviously, they never used to do night matches, did this stupid kick-off times and all that. So I think it's just a working man sport.
Nat, he was Mr. Bolton. He did call, he was down the pit. Tommy Banks was down the pit as well. So they were hardened lads.
The pub across the road was the King William, and they always used to pile out at 5 to 3 after they've had, you know, 1 or 2 drinks, you know, and then they're good humoured, come on, let us in, like you were going to miss the start of the match. And we say, well, you come out at 2 to 3 instead of 5 to 3, you know, you will get where you wanted.
I always went in the terrace because it wasn't covered, but it was cheap and you got really good views.
And then they had the scoreboard in the corner, and every time we scored, little people went along it and like danced along it, but it was really old school technology.
If you lived north of Bolton, you went on the embankment. If you lived south of Bolton, like Farnworth and Town Centre and that way, you went on the Great Lever End, because it was the nearest end for, you know, seeing the match and going home after the matches.
When I was a kid with my dad, we used to go on the embankments, and the railways In fact, the engines used to stop and train drivers used to watch the match. You could watch the match from the train on the embankments. Oh, yeah.
We were about halfway up the railway embankment terraces. This was totally open air with big cast iron railings that people used to lean on to watch the game. This game against Stoke City was important because Stanley Matthews played for them. Even then, he was probably the best dribbler of a ball, the best football in England. So a lot of people wanted to see this particular game. And for about 10 minutes, things were going fine. Then suddenly, people started falling over and falling down the terraces.
I was passed down, you know, to the front. All the children, lads and everything, were small people, were passed down because of the crowd. And I finished up near, you know, almost at the side of the goalposts, you know, where on the pitch.
A guy next to me picked me up, put me on the shoulders of the other people on the terraces, and I was passed overhead onto the pitch. When I got to the pitch, there were about 6 dead bodies lying by the goalposts. So I had a very lucky escape. 33 people were killed, as we know, and 400 really quite seriously injured.
Well, that Aylesbury did that disaster, didn't it? You know, all that lot, you know, charging through, crushing berries and all that. So if you're sitting down, you can't do that, can you? But you must have been in the atmosphere when you sat down. It's not the same. You know, it's never been the same sat down watching football, really.
I remember the Burnden years, camaraderie, aye, and the beers, the crowded trams, the silver bands, the banging of feet in the old wooden stands. How I miss all my football pals, and the famous internationals, the hopes, the fears, the Burnden tears, all in the Burnden years.
No, I've never been to it when it was the Burnden days. I think I was born in 1990. I'm not sure quite when Burnden, I think it was a couple of years after I was born, did Burnden get knocked down. But my dad always says to me, whereas this is where Bolton Wanderers Stadium used to be.
So I was excited. We'd been going up to the ground, watching it being built, standing on the viewing platform and just trying to pinpoint where our seats were going to be. And knowing we all had seats with the same crowd that we've been at Burnden with was just the real cushion, really, in terms of it being new, but it still being familiar because of the people we were with.
There was a nostalgia, obviously, about Burnden Park because we'd always played there. But it you know, change goes. You need change, and it's been a good thing.
It was a very different, because it was all brand new, and it's such a pretty stadium. It's so lovely. It was sad to see Burnden go, but we were happy and excited that Bolton could get this amazing stadium, and it was ours. It was home.
So I started working there, I think it was about 14 years ago. And every year I say to myself, this is going to be my final year, this is going to be my final year. 14 years on and I'm still there. And I think one of the reasons I'm still there is Bolton Wanderers is in my heart, it's in my blood, and I can't see anything different.
Everybody goes when they're doing well, don't they? But I like to go to watch a ball player and in midfield. Control the centre circle, you control the match.
I've had some amazing players, you know, playing for the likes of Real Madrid. And I think that's what put Bolton Wanderers on the map in this new generation at what I still call the Reebok Stadium.
My favourite player of all time has got to be Stelios. I love Stelios. I mean, we used to have some crackers, didn't we? Had here or JJ Kocher. We've had some bouts with KO. We've had some really good players over the years.
There's never not been a better team than when Sam Allardyce, you know, we had Dorkev, Campo, Kocher, you know, and Gary Speed, that it was absolutely brilliant.
My first hamster was called Mixu, after Mixu Patalainen. He did a backflip on that game when he scored. So that was my My hamster's first name, my first hamster's name was Mixu.
Probably because of JJ Okocha, and because when I came originally as a student to study, I was in Bolton, and I've followed Bolton, you know, ever since.
No matter what, I try and fit Bolton Wanderers around my schedule, around my wife and around my kids. Sometimes my wife doesn't like it, but Bolton Wanderers does come first.
I went the week I got married. Bolton were playing. I come back on Friday on my honeymoon. I went watching Bolton and Bury. Yeah, on Friday night it were I. Yeah, remember that. I remember that yesterday.
Low point losing to United, 6-0 or 6-1, I think it was. Horrendous.
I think my happiest moment is the JJ Okocha free kick against Villa at the Reebok, where he swerved it through the wall and into the net.
There's been some great high points, even though they've not won nothing really. They've been in the Premiership and beat the big teams. They beat the Manchester United and all, and the Arsenal. They beat them. Little Bolton, you know what I mean?
Fine, we all want to win all the time, but even in our low moments when we're losing, you still need to stand behind your team and just, you know, be there, not go away angry from the stadium just because Bolton's losing. Even though we lose, we always tend to, you know, bounce back and rise back.
Quite happy with where things are going. You've got to be. What we've been through. I mean, it was only a couple of years ago we were playing 15-year-old kids. We had no team.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt the recent history's been turbulent, to put it bluntly, really. But we've got great owners now, great chief exec, great manager, great team, you know, and this week that success has shown in terms of the trip to Wembley now as well. So the future's incredibly optimistic, and I love being part of it.
The ownership is good now. The vibes are good, and I feel pleased for the younger people going, you know.
It's going to the match, Burnden Park, Lowry. You've heard of Lowry, haven't you?
No.
Have you never heard of Lowry? He was a painter dry painter from Salford, I think.
Looking at this picture, I can see the passion of the people turning up in their numbers. You've got the elderly, you've got young, you've got pets here as well in this picture. So everyone feels part of the community, and you can tell they absolutely love watching the Wanderers.
Pride that this is a picture that obviously is based on Burnden itself. It's steeped in history. It's a picture that's known so universally. But that's our ground, and those are our fans.
I used to have one of these in my room, a smaller version of it. It just makes you happy, doesn't it? You look at it and you smile, and it is, to me, that is Bolton Wanderers at Burnden Park. The people walking down Manchester Road, going to this turnstile in groups. So you've got all your friends or all your families all going together, all walking towards that one place that they're all going to have 90 minutes of relaxing, well, I say relaxing, but 90 minutes of enjoyment, and they can just switch off and get together, and yeah, it's an iconic painting, that.
To the match, match stalking men and women to the match. Lowry painted people just like you and me, and everyone was going to the match. Everyone was going to the match.